Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started with the Public Safety Committee meeting for May 24, 2022. And want to go ahead and get things started with an update from the Grand Rapids Police Department. Hey, Chief.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Yes. Just going to give you a quick Public Safety Committee, just a quick update on the things going on in the police department. Again, some of this touches on the budget. I actually used some of these slides in the budget hearing. And as you all know, we have 305 budgeted spots in the police department, city of about 203,000. Right now, we're anticipating by September of 2022 to hit 290 sworn officers, 15 below authorized strength, and ideally we'd like to be at authorized strength early next year. 76,000 calls for service for the officers. This year, we are very proud that the police department is nationally accredited through the Commission of Accreditation on Law Enforcement Agencies, and as well as the latent print unit is very proud. It's very difficult to get this accreditation. They are national accreditation to the American Association for Laboratory Accreditation, one of the few. Community partnerships is a big focus of the Grand Rapids Police Department, and certainly a priority of mine. You've heard a lot about the homeless outreach team over the past year or so. We've expanded it to include 12 members, including 4 police officers, 3 firefighters, 5 Network 180 professionals. Very proud of their work, and we're making sure that they're getting the best training, including trauma-informed care, implicit bias, human trafficking, and stages of change. GRPD, we launched our mobile crisis unit in January with Network 180. Of course, it's going to be expanding with the increased budget coming up to provide a co-response model to individuals in mental health crisis. Housing code enforcement, I know, presented a few weeks ago in the positive work that they're doing. Training is extremely important to me in the police department. Training that we did in 2021, including implicit bias training, use of force, scenario-based training, de-escalation, trauma resiliency, and CIT training. We actually just graduated 10 officers CIT training 2 weeks ago as we move to get more and more officers CIT trained, crisis intervention training that is. Moving forward, we are going to do additional cultural competency, procedural justice, and implicit bias, and opportunities for community participation. We're going to accomplish this by partnering with the Office of Oversight and Public Accountability. As I've said before, that I believe a city deserves to be policed in a manner that the city wants to be policed, and it deserves to have their police officers trained in things that the city wants officers trained in. So we're excited for that program. We're also excited for the positive work being done by our partners in Cure Violence. We communicate with Cure Violence on a regular basis, including giving them updates on issues that we see, such as hotspots, increasing crime going on, and are very excited with the work that they're doing. We're also initiating our DICE, the Data Informed Community Engagement, which is we, using data, identify areas of the city that are experiencing spikes in crimes, and then we partner with individuals in those areas of the city to sit down and we talk collaboratively about how we are going to bring the resources of the police department and other resources available to us to address this crime, and we get the input from the community, which goes with my position that a city deserves to be policed in a manner that it wants to be policed. Getting the community involved before we take these police action is extremely important. Excited about our partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Spent a lot of time over there myself recently. We have 3 officers assigned there. And the Drive for Success program, which is increasing and really a model which should be expanded across the state and across the country. As I mentioned, the crisis intervention training, we're actually up to 55 now. Clergy on Patrol meets tomorrow, which is pairing faith-based leaders with officers to hit the road in our streets to build bridges with the community. CLEAR program, which is an exciting program for convicted felons to partner with different social service agencies and police officers on a regular basis, and we've seen a recidivism rate drop up to 25% for those who attend at least 4 meetings. I've mentioned in the past collaboration with the Grand Rapids Community College and Grand Valley State University law enforcement program, and paying for recruits to go through those programs, where we see a larger pool of diverse candidates. Speaking of diverse candidates, we have a recruiting push, focus on diversity. I know Lieutenant O'Brien a few months ago did a presentation to this body, and including the things we're working on, sponsoring academy classes this year, eSoft background software, which I think is about to go up and running, which makes the application process much more user-friendly. We do have trips planned to historically black colleges and universities, as well as military bases, and reaching out to in-state colleges and their heads of their criminal justice programs as well. Engagement plan moving forward this year. I've expanded the Police Chiefs Advisory Team to include more representatives of emerging communities. Continue to have regular conversations with ACLU. I'm going to link up again for my second question and answer session later today. Speak to the NAACP, the Urban League, various neighborhood groups on a regular basis. I've had many listening sessions with faith-based organizations, numerous outreach and listening sessions with the immigrant and refugee community. Plan on partnering with OPA, as I mentioned before, to get community involved in training and to take input from community surveys. I'm looking forward to updating this body and the entire committee in about 60 days on my 60-day action plan, which will include a complete review of departmental policies and procedures, a review of non-state mandated training, police equipment, different deployment strategies, establishing a team to evaluate continuation of the strategic plan, and evaluate and update the chief of staff job. Additionally, we recently released a press release involving a spike of crime, which we've seen thefts of specific cars, specifically Kias and Hyundais of a certain year range, which have played into a spike of crime that we've seen in drive-by shootings. I just want to highlight the great work being done by the officers year to date. 136 firearm-related aggravated assault incidents, and over 200 firearms have been recovered by our officers. Every one of those recoveries was done safely, and anytime you arrest an individual with an illegal firearm, there's definitely the potential for danger. So we're doing an excellent job. Mentioned the continued partnership with Cure Violence. We have had 4 gun-related homicides, and gun crime, especially homicides, are going to be a focus of the police department for as long as I'm the head of it. So thank you for your time.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments?
Chair,
Mayor?
I have 2. Chief, can you remind me, going back to the number of homicides this year, can you remind me the comparison to last year to date?
Last year, as of this date, we had 4.
Okay.
So we're up 2. I believe 3 of the 3 this year have been domestic related in nature.
Okay. And then my second question is, can you talk a little bit about the partnership with our surrounding jurisdictions?
Sure.
Especially when there's a critical incident. I'm thinking about the most recent incident in Kentwood.
Absolutely. So we have a very strong relationship with our Kent County police departments. I meet on a regular basis with the other Kent County chiefs of police.
Good.
We also have a task force with Kentwood and Wyoming with mostly focusing on auto thefts. In this case, a lot of the violent gun crime we're seeing has been paired up along with auto thefts. The recent shooting down by the school is one example of that. It seems that the same elements were there as some gun incidents that we've had here involving the Kias and Hyundais. So we have constant communication with our detective bureau and those detective bureaus, and we even have detectives from those agencies working on the task force with us, actually physically located in the Grand Rapids Police Department. So we have that open line of communication at that level, as well. The chiefs and I, we have different text strings together, and we have face-to-face meetings at least once a month, and as well as working with the county sheriff.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions, comments? No? Got a couple of questions for you, Chief. First of all, can you share with us, you mentioned over 200 firearms recovered. What happens to those firearms once they're recovered?
Sure. If the firearm is used in, if the firearm is needed for evidence, that firearm will be retained until the prosecutor no longer needs it as evidence, at which point in time it will either be destroyed or an individual with a property interest in it. For example, if it's a stolen firearm that was used, it could be an individual could petition the court to retain that firearm. However, by and large, the vast majority of the firearms are destroyed.
Okay. Another question for you. Is it fair to say, I think I provided this question in the past to previous leadership, but how are I guess the origin of the vast majority of guns, illegal guns that are on the street? Is it fair to say that they're stolen from homes and cars? Or is that like the top?
I would say that probably on par with straw purchases. So people that can legally purchase guns, whether it's a boyfriend or girlfriend situation, someone that is legally permitted to purchase a gun will go out and purchase, extra guns, 6 guns, and then provide them to individuals who are not legally allowed to possess guns. So that combined with stolen guns probably makes the vast majority of handguns used illegally.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, please.
Chief, would you say that there's been an increase in shootings in the city of Grand Rapids since January? Is it, you hear about rumors of shootings, and sometimes you get a little tidbit on the news, but it just seems to me that there's a huge increase, but
Sure.
I wondered what you thought.
Sure. And the truth is that across the country, as the weather warms up in northern cities, that statistically there is always an increase in violence as the weather warms up. So can I say there's been an increase since January? Absolutely. I don't necessarily attribute it to any specific crime incident. I did mention the stolen vehicles that were a trend. We've actually seen that diminish as ourselves and our partners in Kentwood and Wyoming have taken strong enforcement action on those, and so we've actually seen it diminish a little bit. So I'm not ready to spike the ball where that's concerned, but there is a slight increase. But I would say at this point in time, it's there's no root cause that I see other than there will be a slight increase in the summer months.
Got one follow-up question, Chief. Wondering, for those who are purchasing extra guns and availing them to other folks, could they be charged for that?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm happy to say that we actually have a very strong relationship with our partners at ATF here that are actually located within Grand Rapids. I've met with the acting special agent in charge of the ATF, as well as our partners in the FBI and the DIA, but we do maintain that strong relationship with the ATF, and I believe we have one of our detectives on a task force with them. So that constant communication, that we provide them information, they provide us information, and that's exactly what they're focusing on, taking down those illegal purchases, the straw purchases, and they'll actually do sting operations in gun shops to try and make sure that the gun shops are following the sales rules as well. But the ATF is best poised to take enforcement on those actions. If we see that happening, we do provide them with that information, though.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah, please, Marley.
One question I've got is there any additional legislation that you're aware of that restrict high-capacity cartridges and so forth for long guns or pistols?
In short, I'm not aware of any that's currently pending.
Right now, it's open season, is that correct? I mean, they can be purchased, large capacity, up to 30.
You know what, I would have to get that information back to you, sir, to determine if there is a maximum number in magazines here, and I'm happy to do so.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Our next presentation is a update from the fire department.
Good afternoon, Public Safety Committee. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity from the Fire Department to present to you today. On our cover here, I just want to point out how proud we are to be able to rename the Martin Luther King Junior Fire Station down on used to be Franklin, and so that was a good day earlier about a month and a half ago that we were able to do that. The overview I'd like to provide you today is not only from our accomplishments from our current budget, but also what we would expect to be able to achieve in our upcoming 23 budget. So we were able to hire a recruit class of 15 in January. Those firefighters are set to graduate, and we have a graduation ceremony scheduled for this Thursday evening at the training facility down at Coldbrook. But those firefighters that we hired, we were able to increase our firefighters of color by 66% in comparison with our 2018 class, with 10% of all of our staffing right now being persons of color. By September of 2022, we're expecting our staffing to be at our top end of our total authorized strength of 206. And we also are very happy to be able to work with HR and be able to finalize what we're going to need to do for our cadet program, which is funded in this 2023 budget. And so that will give us the ability to hire up to 6 cadets, which we would look to do from graduating high school classes or young people that would be in the job market, and bringing them into the fire department and giving them the assistance necessary to make them successful candidates in the future. The GRFD was reaccredited by the Commission on Fire Accreditation and International in the last fiscal year. We were happy with that. That's our second reaccreditation. And we are complete right now with our 2023 through 25 strategic plan. We will be updating that with the manager, allowing him to review that, and then more than likely we will bring that through this body in order to review it, and then on to the City Commission if that is what the desire is. We have submitted for a SAFER grant, and the SAFER grant is a grant which allows us to hire additional personnel, and it is a 3-year grant with 0 matching dollars. Those personnel would be hired to increase staffing levels in our southern area where we are feeling some gaps that we have been able to analyze over the last number of years. And by putting those additional firefighters on during that trial period, we believe that we'll be able to fully understand the impact of adding additional personnel in that area and being able to demonstrate the closing of some of those gaps that we have in our response model. We continue to collaborate with GRCC to create an associate's degree curriculum program, and we also collaborate with GRCC on the potential of siting a new training facility, which we would find the ability to really advance areas of training that we don't have the capability of doing right now within the city of Grand Rapids. These are some hot metrics that we have on the homeless outreach team. You can see that all these together add up to over 8,000 individual engagements that the hot team was able to have. But they are a very busy team right now, and coming into the time of year where they're going to get even busier. The Office of Emergency Management has also been very active and doing some COOP planning as well as planning along with the county of both Ottawa and Kent on hazard mitigation planning. But very, very active in that office, and Ms. Farrell is somebody that we rely on heavily and is doing an excellent job for us. These are our key performance indicators. So we look at what we call distribution, concentration, and reliability. Distribution is the red line. Distribution took a little bit of a hit in 2019, as you can see, and that was because we started looking at the calculation of that metric with adding a little bit more time to it. And so we hope that that will be able to recover in the next year or so and at least level out. But the concentration is how we can get our effective response force on scene within that benchmark time, and reliability is the time of the number of times that the unit is able to answer calls within their own district. Some horizon issues that we have are that we are excited to be able to move forward on a Division Avenue project. If you remember, we purchased the image building down on Division, and so we have been utilizing that site for as much as we possibly can until the time in the budget cycle where we, in '24, where we site for demolition, and then we are moving on with a bonding issue in '25 to be able to build the new fire station, which will include some training classroom facilities as well as some props and a new EOC location that can serve as a backup EOC for us or a primary EOC depending on the direction that we choose to go. The Kalamazoo South Fire Station, we've been given some budget dollars to be able to look into site acquisition or design, and we will be doing that within this next budget cycle. And then Chester Fire Station, our oldest fire station, is in needs of additional remodel and an addition in order to continue operating in that location. We do not have currently money budgeted for that, but that is a horizon issue for us. Station alerting is how we receive our calls into the fire station, and it wouldn't seem on the surface that that would be a very expensive project, but to refit station alerting for all of our station houses is just under $1 million. And so we will start that plan in 2024, and that is a capital budget item that has been funded. Our cadet program, again, is where we would like to hire up to 6 people to assist with logistics and for graduating high school youth, and hopefully a career path to a service in the fire department. And then our continuous recruitment model is something we've been working on heavily, and that is underway. We've reduced the amount of time that it takes in the application process. We have streamlined everything very well, and we really hope that that's going to serve us better to be able to get a better quality of candidate in a shorter period of time. Thank you very much, and now I'd entertain any questions you have, but I also have a second part of this presentation where Battalion Chief Ed Brayman is going to come up and talk to you about the technical rescue team.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? No? Okay.
All right.
Please, go ahead, please. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any efforts to train the public in how to deal with responses. Sometimes you see people gathering that can get in the way. I just saw one incident of that, but is there any public publicity that's in the budget for that kind of thing?
So we don't have anything budgeted. We do have a public education component of our Fire Prevention Bureau that concentrates mainly on youth education in the school system. We also get out and do senior citizen education for slips and falls and things like that. But I would tell you that as we attempt to engage the public more, that our emergency manager has plans in the near future to start a SEAT team, or CERT team, I should say, which is a community-involved team that concentrates on how they can assist during emergencies. I also will tell you that in this building in June, we are hosting a large-scale training event, and we put the ask out to the public for participants to be able to assist us. And I was blown away. 176 members of the public that want to come and be fire victims. So we won't be dragging them down the stairwells, but we will be appreciating the fact that they're going to be involved in that training session.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your questions, and I would turn it over to Captain Brayman, or Chief Brayman, I should
Thank
say.
you.
All right. Good afternoon, good morning, something like that. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Battalion Chief Ed Brayman. I've been with the Grand Rapids Fire Department for a little while. Prior to my position here as oversight for the technical rescue team, I was also the program manager for the past few years. I've been involved with the technical rescue program in West Michigan since 2001. We saw a drastic uptick in our involvement following 9/11, as anybody I'm sure can imagine. Today we're just talking on a very high level about what we do at the Grand Rapids Fire Department as far as our team goes. We're one of 3 special operations teams within the Grand Rapids Fire Department. We function with 36 team members. Those are approved contracted spots. We're allowed up to 36 members. We have about 6 or 7 members right now that have applied and asked to be on the team, but will start their training on an in-house basis. And if somebody retires, somebody promotes, chooses to be removed from the team, they will then slide in and take that spot. So we always maintain a roster of 36. With the retirement of Chief Vanderwall, we decided to restructure how we oversaw our special operations units, and we now split it to where each team has one chief officer that is the oversight. I am the oversight chief officer for the technical rescue team. I was also a member of the water rescue team / dive, but I'm kind of pushing that back now. I'm focusing on tech. As far as equipment goes, we operate, as you'll see here, the top picture is our latest addition. It went in service last Tuesday. It's Tech 1. This replaced the old, as we called it, the old ADV, which is a 1992, I believe. So we've just put this in service, and it's ready to go. It's responding out of the grave. We also run with our 2 medium duty, our rescue companies that are in service every day out of the grave. There's the lower picture, and then its sister machine is the exact same thing. We run 2 of those. And then we have one more that we don't have a picture of here, but that's considered our heavy rescue. Basically it's an old beer truck, pop truck. It is a tractor-drawn trailer that carries lumber and all of our seriously heavy-duty equipment that we just can't fit on smaller machines. So as far as that goes, that is the overview of our equipment and what we're running on a daily basis. As far as our response disciplines, primarily we'll talk about that, but I'd like to start with a secondary and how we support each other. All 3 teams can intermingle. We have members that are members of 2 teams. We do not allow our members to be on 3. We can only be on 2. So we have some hazardous materials people that are also tech rescue, which is pretty beneficial when we show up to a confined space incident or something along those lines that has a chemical inside that we need to evaluate or handle air monitoring, and then vice versa we have with our swift water teams for rigging, and as the river changes, we'll be working in concert quite often to make sure that we've got the proper stuff and working on. But our primary response disciplines are going to be rope or tower rescue. Anybody that was here for a meeting and watched us get 2 people off the side of the building knows how that works. Collapse rescue, trench rescue, confined space, machine or industrial rescue, and then advanced or heavy vehicle extrication. As we go through this, you'll see the only picture that is not something that the Grand Rapids Fire Department Technical Rescue Team has responded to is the one in the lower part of this slide. That is just an example of what a trench rescue would look like, and that would be considered an operational trench. It's only about 6 feet deep, and is about as simple as we can get, but for anybody that is familiar with it, the one that we just had out in Alto was about 15 feet deep, so it's about 3 times the depth. For rope rescue, we tried to break this down in how many hours it takes for our members to get to technician level. Of our 36 members, we have varying levels of training because we have new people coming in all the time and we're constantly adjusting. Our training is diverse and sporadic. It's based on availability of logistics and resources and all that. For our rope and tower rescue, we operate at a technician level. It's a 40-hour initial training just to go to technician class, and then it's another 85 hours. So we're looking around 100 hours for rope rescue training for initial education. We also have monthly training for our people that are constantly updating, all 3 shifts. So all 36 members are training monthly. We are able to host these trainings in-house and in the city of Grand Rapids. We've actually done most of our final scenarios here off of City Hall over the past couple of years, and that's a big benefit for us because that saves us a lot of logistics and money to send people out of town. We no longer have backfill overtime because we can send on-duty crews to be a part of that as well. As far as confined space rescue goes, we are trained to the technician level for the most part, but we do focus mostly on the operations level because technician level is the same stuff, but it allows us to go into a flammable environment. As far as going into flammable environments, we're going to try and take all the steps to make it not explosive when we're in there. So we tend to operate on the operations level. It's 40 hours of initial training. You also have to be rope rescue certified before they'll even allow you in the class, and we're also capable of hosting that here in town.
You're inside the window where the person's standing.
As you see, this was outside City Hall when
The glass can be-
we took the two gentlemen that were working in an elevator off.
Yeah, I work construction trades. This is not right. You know what, Bill?
Those two gentlemen would have been very cold if they would have waited for their bosses to come out of the Chicagoland area to come up and free up the elevator. So it was in their best interest to bring them down. I believe the chief and city manager were sitting there calling the shots outside the window. So talk about pressure to do the right thing. As you'll see here, we're now talking about trench rescue. The most recent one that caught the press was out in Alto Bone Township, where two gentlemen unfortunately became fatalities doing homegrown trench work. We operate at the technician level. We just had 9 members of our team in Howell at the operating engineers site for technician level training last week. It is 80 hours of initial training. Operations is about 29 to 30 hours, and then we send them for another full week, so another 80 hours of training, so call it 40 for each week. Collapse rescue, we operate at the technician level. And for trench rescue, we're only allowed to host that in Howell. We do not have the logistics to support that here. If we're going to do that, we need to get in better with U.S. Geological Survey because of different soil samples and types that we have in the Metro Grand Rapids area, and a safe site where we can operate with a 20-foot hole for a week and keep it safe and the general public doesn't wander in and become a problem. Plus, we consider all our training for trench rescues where we're working with live soil as a hot site. We're training with live fire with dirt, as odd as that sounds. For collapse rescue, we operate technician level. Once we get to the technician level, we are now talking about cement and large-scale buildings that fall down. Florida, Miami-Dade is the most recent one. Going back, we've had quite a few of them, but this is where we're now dealing with pre- and post-tension concrete, large-scale girders, heavy stuff. That is 100 hours of training to get our people to technician level. It is logistically very busy for us to host it in Grand Rapids, but we feel that we're at that point where we can host it locally and get our training here with the companies that we work with. If you'll take a look, you have the one picture is the straight line winds we had on 9/11 a couple years ago up on the hill when they took off the buildings right there at the top. And then in the lower left-hand corner we have on Grove Street, which was two gentlemen were working in a small trench, and as you'll see, the side of the house blew out. If you can tell there, the posts for the porch are just hanging up in the air, and the whole porch and all the block and the wall, the foundation gave loose and crushed one and then trapped the other one. We were able to save one person out of that. One unfortunately did perish from the injuries that he suffered. For machine and industrial rescue, we operate at the technician level once again, and this is a 60-hour initial training. This is an excellent partnership that we have that most people don't know about, and it's indirectly through Ford Motor Company. We attend these trainings initially in Wixom, which is over the Detroit area. It's now transferred to Plymouth. This is where we go into a former Ford plant, and Ford has been nice enough to donate old equipment and presses and all that and allow us to tear them apart. They do their own internal team training, and then they open up usually the following week for firefighters and rescue crews to come in and do the same training, and then we develop different methods of how we're going to tear apart different machines from presses to hydraulics to pneumatics. So that's a good public-private partnership. They don't charge us any tuition when we go to that. They allow us to come down there and free and use their toys for a full week. We just have to pay our way and take care of lodging. And then our other one that we deal with is our advanced or heavy extrication, which ties into the machine and industrial because they play on each other, a lot of the same tools. We operate at the technician level. This is where we're going to be dealing with cement trucks that are on tops of cars. This is the very large tools to cut up very large and heavy things to get people out. And that's another 40 hours of training. So for machine and heavy rescue, we're looking at another 100 hours. And the picture included here is taken from Butterworth Hospital last year when we had an individual, an electrician, that chose to bypass a safety fence, if you will, a mesh safety fence, and wound up getting his arm lodged in between the counterweights as it moved. If you're going to get hurt and get trapped in an elevator, a good place to do it is Butterworth Hospital, where you have all the resources ready to take care of you once we remove it from you. But this rigging here is actually one of our riggings that we did to stabilize the entire elevator from moving while we offloaded all the counterweights and then moved the elevator and weights to free up the arm. The last report I had is he has actually gotten most of the use back out of his hand and arm when they were figuring he was going to lose it right on site. Notable rescues that we've gone to over, say, the past 20 years, but most of these are more recent than that. We had the City Hall rescue. We call that 2 saves. Plaza Towers about 20 years ago, if anybody remembers, the same guy that got the 2 gentlemen off of City Hall got a window washer off the 30th floor of Plaza Towers. He's kind of a hero in our place. DeVos Place, when that was under construction, they had a civil engineer that was going in for one last measurement when a collapse occurred and lost his life there. Grove is the trench that we showed you with 1 save and 1 fatality. Butterworth, we consider 1 save. There was a picture earlier that I didn't explain, but forgive me, but is Kent County Jail when they had the crane collapse, which also put down their dispatch for a little while, so that was 10 years ago maybe. We had 1 save up on North Monroe when they were working on a construction site up there. We had to do a rope rescue and then flew a construction worker out via crane. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, we had a car into Shawmut Elementary out on Oakley. We stabilized that building. We're not going to call it a save. The driver was able to self-extricate, but we wound up stabilizing the building so that they could come in with structural engineers later. I believe, and I'll be able to find out tonight at baseball, if our stuff is still there. So we build stuff well enough that it stays there for a while. The Fairview Apartments, which was up on the Lookout Hill, and then 196 in Ottawa a couple years ago, we had a semi-truck that was a rollover and pin that was a multi-hour extrication that we considered 1 save. Raybrook Manor, we had a confined space entry about 4 or 5 years ago, which we consider a save. And then we had a steel collapse out in the 3rd Ward about 5 years ago where a gentleman had a rack of steel come down on him and pin him. We don't just stay inside the city. We've spent a fair amount of time outside the city. We had out of Universal Forest Products a few years ago, we had 1 gentleman in a trench that we pulled him out of. Back when they had the derecho straight line winds in Spring Lake, they asked for us to come out there and do assessments. We had a rescue out at the Gordon Food Service freezer plant 2 years ago for Wyoming. We had a fatality out in Wyoming in a trench about 18 months ago. And then about 2 months ago, we were sent out to the Wyoming wastewater treatment plant to assist a person that had fallen into a pit and help extricate him with a rope rescue. In addition to just in the city, we are functioning on a regional response level. We operate in the Region 6 area, which is basically from Kent County north to Lake County, and it's a very diverse county. But as far as we're concerned, we are the only asset in Region 6. It used to be more of a multiple counties had county teams. For the most part, we are the only technician level asset this side of the state. We have 6 members that are attached to Michigan Task Force 1. 3 of them were up in Gaylord Friday night and came back. We had more, but we chose to hold back a couple of ours in case we had an incident in the city, and which in fact we did. Saturday morning we had another car into a building with collapse hazard down on South Division, the 2400 block of South Division. So we try and help where we can, but we also try and ensure that we have our resources in town to take care of any concerns we have. As far as our secondary support, if we needed something in the city of Grand Rapids right now, we would probably go with the City of Lansing Fire Department, Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, and or Wayne County or Washtenaw County. So right now, we consider ourselves having to be self-sufficient for multiple hours if we're involved in a legitimate technical rescue incident. So, and that is that. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bremen. Any questions for, yes, please.
I'll start with a comment, and this is pretty impressive in terms of some of the responses to events that have taken place.
Thank you.
And I guess the question I'd follow up with, do you occasionally coordinate with the Department of Labor, who really has jurisdiction over, for instance, trenches, have requirements on how they're constructed, how deep? And I was surprised by that one renegade situation where there ended up being fatalities apparently outside the city. But in that case, does the public know its own responsibility? But back to the original question, do you coordinate strategically from time to time with the Department of Labor?
Not necessarily directly. We try and follow all OSHA standards, and our training is in line with any NFPA and OSHA standard that is out there. So we're very familiar with these trench boxes, for example. And we don't usually respond when people are following the rules. This is definitely one of those types of deals where, unfortunately, it's people trying to take a shortcut, and it turns out to be deadly and or cause an injury to somebody that wasn't thinking.
Thank you.
You bet.
No question, just agree, it's really impressive and what a great asset to have, not just in our community, but in our region. So thanks for the
Thank
update.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Bremen.
You bet. Have a great day.
Yep, you too. Our final presentation is an update from the Office of Oversight and Public Accountability.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Okay, so I will be providing an update on OPA as we move forward into this next section. These are slides that are in large part similar to slides that were shared during the budget presentation, so I won't go super detailed on each one of them, but broadly, OPA serves as the independent city department that works to increase transparency and accountability in the city. Our primary work involves receiving and assisting community members with navigating internal complaint processes, but we also lead the Cure Violence program along with the Grand Rapids Urban League. We work in 4 main categories, and this just talks about some of the work we've done over the last fiscal year, which includes collaborating with the fire department on recruitment methods, reviewing our arbitration process, and working to improve diversity in recruitment and retention of public safety staff. Under accountability, we've reviewed all of the complaint disposition reports that were provided to OPA. We continue to work to reimagine that Civilian Appeals Board process and framework. And we finalized the review process of OPA's policy, and we're fortunate to have the City Manager's Administrative Order 2106 issued in 2021, which helped to begin the process of allowing OPA to have access to police records. Under restorative justice, we really work to reduce barriers to trust that have been created by systemic inequities. And this year, OPA led a clean slate expungement fair, and we're grateful for all of our partners that were a part of that and all of the city employees who served as part of that. But nearly 500 community members were served, and we were able to help them determine their expungement eligibility. Out of those individuals, 297 were able to file and submit their expungement applications. This was important work. This was a partnership from lots of departments, and anecdotally, I'll share that while we were working through applications, I sat down with a member from community, and she started bawling while we were filling out the application, and she said, "You just don't know how much this has changed my life. I feel like I'll be able to be a great parent to my children for the first time." And that speaks to the work that is being done in this city. It's one of my proudest days working here. In addition to that, we work in the area of empowerment and engagement, and that's where we help enhance communication and education with the public regarding public safety matters. And that includes our Know Your Rights programming, as well as our planning and partnering in town halls and community meetings. As previously mentioned, we work with the Urban League to implement Cure Violence here in Grand Rapids. The Urban League reports that there's been 328 interactions with key individuals involved in local violent activities, 447 interactions with non-key individuals, which are individuals who are not a part of inciting violence but live in the target area or are impacted by the violence. Cure Violence has worked to diffuse 20 immediate conflicts, and one of the great things they did was negotiate a peace treaty between rivaling street factions where they literally brought two, essentially most people would call them gangs, to the same space, and they came with no weapons and sat down, had conversation, and worked through their differences and left signing a treaty agreeing not to participate in gun violence against each other, which is a very important thing, and I think it speaks to the work that's being done by Cure Violence here in Grand Rapids. Additionally, there's been over 2,000 interactions with households in the target area. Cure Violence has also worked to organize with families for disengaged parenting and at Opportunity Youth. And they fortunately are housed in the Urban League, and therefore wraparound services have been able to be provided. 20 key individuals were referred to employment services and 45 key individuals were referred to housing services. The chief spoke a little bit about this already, but as part of the city strategic plan, we've committed to elevating resident voice in city operations. Part of that is working towards community-informed training. Essentially, what that means is that we are working to co-create training with community and or be responsive to what we hear from community regarding recommendations regarding necessary training for our public safety staff. These trainings will include a wide range of topics, including cultural competency, understanding immigrant and refugee experiences, bias reduction, impacts on racism, and building trust, along with the history of policing in America. In addition to the training we're providing, OPA is also increasing its engagement efforts. OPA continues to work with city departments and partners to increase those efforts. In recent weeks, OPA has worked with the Office of Equity and Engagement and community leaders to assess specific engagement needs of our refugee and immigrant community leaders. Amongst those needs includes the need for us to tailor our Know Your Rights programming to members of immigrant and refugee communities. Essentially, they're coming to America from different countries where the laws are different, where the norms are different, and the expectations are different. And for many of them, they've expressed the need to have training that explains what are the differences in those laws so that when they encounter police, they can deal with officers according to knowledge. As it relates to Horizon issues, OPA intends to continue to work towards the creation of an administrative policy that governs oversight to increase accountability here in Grand Rapids. We're excited about working with Chief Wistrom in this space and believe that we'll be able to make a lot of progress during this fiscal year. We also continue to need increased access to to police records. We're working to update the Civilian Appeals Board policy through that reimagining of police. We're also interested in creating racial healing circles to support community dialogue regarding creating cultural competency and building bridges to trust. We're excited about the expanded capacity that is coming to OPA through this fiscal year, and we'll continue to work to evaluate traffic stop data that will be completed this fiscal year in order for us to continue to elevate and evaluate public safety policies for disparities with an eye for equity. Are there any questions? I guess I should have covered that last bullet, which says we're also working to evaluate and will evaluate the officer-involved shooting policies and procedures, including but not limited to the public release of video evidence, identification of officers, de-escalation, and other relevant policies.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davis, any questions, colleagues? Questions or comments? No, please.
Again, there's a lot of data here, and it's very gratifying to see the many efforts that are taking place throughout the city. I really appreciated the report from Cure Violence. How often do you report publicly back to this body? Like quarterly, once a year?
Regarding Cure Violence or just in general?
Well, a report similar to what you've just done. It's pretty comprehensive.
Sure. So OPA does an annual report, so that's once a year. We provide regular updates to this body regarding programs or efforts that we do throughout the year. As it relates to Cure Violence will do an annual report once a year as well, and we anticipate that report coming in July or August.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Please.
So what's the policy of right now of you having access to police records, and how will that change?
So currently, the city manager released an administrative order in 2021 that outlines a procedure for OPA to have access to some police records. How the process will change is yet to be determined. Our hope is that OPA will have as close to unfettered access to police records as legally possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? No? Thank you very much, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
I got one quick follow-up question for you, Chief Winstrom. Wondering if it would be possible, I'd like to see if on a monthly basis we could have an update with regards to crime statistics. And perhaps we can talk further about this in the very near future in terms of the specific crime that we would like to be updated on here at this committee. Okay, very good.
Of course.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sir.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, colleagues? No? Okay. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.